Well, November marks Financial Literacy Month, a time to get more Canadians to feel more confident in their investing decisions. And the Investment Industry Association of Canada, or IIAC, is holding a free event later today, especially to help young and new Canadians with making money and financial decisions.
So joining us live now is Maya Korbik of the IIAC and also the author of From Piggy Banks to Stocks, The Ultimate Guide for a Young Investor. Maya, admittedly, I feel like I'm a young investor. Unfortunately, financial literacy was never kind of part of my dialogue growing up, and now I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. So for people like me and young investors, what is kind of your first advice that they should do or think about?
Well, I would say the first advice would be to, just admit where you are in the process. Mm-hmm. And then there are, certain steps that you need to take. So the first one would be understanding the basics. Mm-hmm. And the basics is just understanding the difference between needs and wants. Then we can move on to budgeting, then understanding credit card debt and proper management of credit card debt. And, eventually you would get to a place where you could, feel comfortable with your financial situation so that you could start investing.
Mm-hmm. And Maya, it's interesting. I think in the current generation, and I don't want to sound like the old guy here, but there's an instant gratification thing, whether it's, from social media or from just any streaming services. You can pick what you want, get what you want, when you want it. Investing isn't like that. There's not kind of a quick fix. And there was all like this rapid rise of Bitcoin, that sort of thing, cryptocurrencies that people thought they could make money from. But investing and making money, it takes time, doesn't it?
Oh, it definitely does. I do believe that we can all generate, wealth, but we can do it slowly. There is no get quick rich, in a fast way. I think to become a successful investor, we have to take our time. We have to research the products that we're investing in, and we have to, just sit patiently and maybe not do as many trades or freak out when the market is not doing so well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like that your tip for the young investor is like what you have is time. As a young person, even if you invest a little bit, let's say put away $20 a month, over time, if you keep doing that, you can become a millionaire, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So one thing that kids have that we don't have is the time. So even if they just put $10 a week, if we as parents start doing that for them as soon as they're born, and then we teach them to do that as soon as they have their first part-time job, and then they continue to do that throughout the adulthood, they could become millionaires. I mean, it's just simple math. Mm-hmm. And the time and the compound interest, they do the heavy lifting of the wealth creation.
Yeah, compounding interest. Once I learned about that, I thought this is the best thing ever. No doubt about that. And you make a really good point, because, $10, $20, even if you maybe aren't making very much right now, and everyone knows the cost of living has gone up there, generally speaking, a lot of people can find that money. And if you can't, you really should try, because you're really paying yourself for the future, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. So it doesn't need to be a lot of money. A lot of people have misconceptions that they have to invest a lot of money, or only rich invest. Yeah. Even if you have $10 or $20, there is, you can actually put that away, and that can accumulate to a significant amount.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the thing about investing, I like how you call them, you're kind of creating these money babies that kind of generate on their own. But there's a lot of options for people out there. I mean, there's real estate, there's stocks. And you say one thing is that instead of thinking of yourself as always a consumer that just buys, think of yourself as an owner. So how do we get ourselves in that mentality? Because sometimes, like, you look at stock markets, you just look at our business scroll.
It can be intimidating.
It's so intimidating. You're like, I don't speak this business language. Like, what do I do? And I guess your book kind of explains that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the book definitely explains that. And I think the reason why I wrote it is because I wish I had a resource like that when I was younger, because it is written in a language that a 10-year-old can understand. So during the process, I had testers, families, parents, and children who were going through the book. And it was the parents that told me that they finally felt comfortable with some investment terminology and understanding the basics of investing. But to your other question, how can we switch from that consumer mindset to owner mindset? One thing I like to do is encourage parents to gift a stock to their child of a company that their child understands. So a lot of kids, for example, have iPads or iPhones. Right. We could, instead of them being consumers of Apple products, we could invest or gift them a stock of Apple. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that everybody should be investing in Apple, but this is just an
Example.
idea.
Yeah.
An example.
Oh my gosh, that's an interesting
It does make sense.
concept.
I like the idea because then it changes your mindset. You know, it's like the WestJet employees or shareholders, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
You get that ownership stake and you feel like you want to do more about that. Well, listen, you can find out more about all this tonight. Maya, thank you so much for joining us. This is a fascinating,
Thank you.
Yes.
good education for the children. I appreciate this.
Very important.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much,
Thank you so
Maya.
much for
Thank you.
having
Great
me
to meet you.
on.
Hope this
Nice
goes
to
well
meet you.
tonight.